Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to True North. I'm Renata Marino. Welcome. How's everybody doing? How's everyone's week? Take off my glasses. How's everyone's week? I hope great. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for today's topic. Just a little recap. I launched True North probably I would say almost 2 months ago, for several reasons. First of all, in general, True North is about pursuing our purpose. It's a podcast, a video podcast, and eventually audio podcast. It's about pursuing our purpose, following our passion, and overcoming adversity. The impetus for this is really to share a lot of my story verbally. I started doing this from my journey over the past 2 years, I would say a good solid 2 years. I shared my story publicly on Instagram and then decided one day, the past couple months, to start making this a formalized podcast. So on Instagram, you'll find me at various, I have a lot of posts on Instagram, but there's early morning videos, probably an hour long, half hour to an hour long, that talk about my story all the way through COVID. Prior to that, really, really telling my story and my journey of healing some of the past hurt from my past. And it relates to actually what we're talking about today, which today is, and the title I have there is I Told You So. So the title, what we're going to be talking about today, or what I'm going to be talking about today, is this. Many times, various people in our life, friends, family, coworkers, what have you, will give us advice about who we should date, what job we should take, major decisions, minor decisions, whatever. They give us advice. They're looking out for our best interests or what have you. But what happens is many times we can logically say we weigh the pros and cons, and we can logically listen to them, and we can logically say, yes or no, but we end up doing what we want, and we should do what we want. At the end of the day, we all need to make our own decisions. At the end of the day, we all need to make our own decisions, and whether they're the right decisions or the wrong decisions, we don't know until we actually experience the lesson. So a lot of the times, we may know a certain decision is probably not a healthy decision for us, but we do it anyway for whatever reason. And we experience so much pain and so much hurt because we have to go through that pain and that hurt based on the decision to learn the lesson so that we don't replicate that same mistake going forward. Or we learn from it and we take from what we learn from it, and then we just, take that as a data point for our future. It's really, really, really about life and experiencing positive and negatives. But that's what I want to talk about today. Before I get started, though, I have a couple of announcements or things I wanted to share. First of all, I was coming downstairs. I was trying to find this book that I want to read a couple passages from, but I found this key. So I everybody knows this. It's kind of a public thing, but for many, many years, I would say, since I moved here, 20 years. I moved here in 2000, so 22 years. Everybody knows I'm from the East Coast. Everybody knows I love Nantucket. Everybody knows I love the islands. Everybody knows. So one of the things that my former husband had promised me to lure me here to the Midwest was that he or we would build a Nantucket house here in Chicago. And we were aspiring to do this. We were on the verge of doing this, literally bought the land. We were about to tear down the house. And there was just like a big explosion. Not literally, but figuratively. But it seemed like it was a good explosion. But anyway, in recent months, I go to Nantucket a lot. I've been going to Nantucket recently for the past 5 years, and it's great. It's great. I take my kids. I love it. It's my safe haven. I wish I could go every week, every month, like once a weekend, but I will. There's no wishing. I will. So my goal is to buy a Nantucket house. Okay. And I'm trying desperately to do that, making the right career moves, and not just for the house, but it's part of my, my dream. Okay. My dream. But I have a little, this is crazy. I have a little like shrine upstairs in my hallway. It's like a little, I would call it a shrine. It's a little shrine. It's like my manifestation shrine. It's not. It is. It's just all about Nantucket. So I have, what's her name? Ellen, what book there? I forgot what it's called. I have her book there. I have sand from Cisco Beach. I have, what else do I have there? Shells I collected. I have signs that say Cisco Beach. I have the zip code. I have so many things. But I also bought I think my mom got me this. Did she, or I don't know. But I think she got me this as a gift. It's a Ferragamo keychain. It's really nice. It's nice and fancy. So I have like 8 million keychains, and I don't even know which one I use. But I basically took this Ferragamo keychain and put it right near the sand of Cisco Beach. And my son has always said to me, if we're going to buy a car in Nantucket, my kids know this, I want to get an electrical Jeep because he's very environmentally sound. My son like cares about recycling. He was on my case for 6 months to get a recycling bin for our trash. He's very proactive, which is great. It's great to have a child, a 13-year-old that does this. But he's like, Mom, if you're going to get a car in Nantucket, I want to get an electrical Wrangler Jeep because I want a Jeep. And so I have this. This is a keychain. I don't know why I'm sharing this. This is a keychain to the car that I'm going to buy next to the house I'm going to buy. That will be a electrical hybrid. I think it's a hybrid, or maybe it's electrical. Jeep Wrangler on Nantucket. I had to share that. I'll put that away. The other thing I want to share is I have my coffee. I always have my morning coffee when I do my talks. I think I might have mentioned this before, but this is a female-founded, this coffee came from a coffee shop that's a Latina female founder who I met in Chicago, downtown in the city, probably in 2018. She was introduced to me by another fellow Latinx guy who was an advisor for an incubator startup called 1871 in Chicago. He's like, you need to meet her. She's awesome. She's a badass. She would be, because you could do a Blazing Babes event, because I own a female founder community called Blazing Babes. And we were looking for venues to support other women-owned businesses. And so I met her. I saw her space. She has a beautiful space. She had a beautiful space in the city in the West Loop. And she gave me a tasting. I felt like I was doing like a wedding tasting. And anyway, long story short, I said to her back in whenever that was, you need to move your facility, or you need to have an extra space in the North Shore of Chicago, where I live. Like in the North Shore of Chicago is very ritzy. It's like high end, and you should have a space. So turns out she actually opened a space in 2020 during COVID, and she literally gutted the place while there was all these restrictions, and she literally opened up the space, and now she has this beautiful space. So now I go there, and actually she lives like 2 blocks down from me. She's Latina, and we are going to be doing a Blazing Babes event. I'm not talking about it because I'm in stealth mode, but it's a big event at her space. And but her coffee, I get this I try to don't get every day. I get maybe once or twice a week, but it's like that pepper, that cayenne pepper. It's like spicy. It's a latte. It's so good. But anyway, shout out to her. Shout out to Town and Oak. It's a Town Oak. It says she have on here. It's in Winnetka, Illinois. Established in 2020, like right in the heart of COVID. Cake. She said cafe. I can't even see. Cafe takeaway celebrations. It's awesome. She's got a great event space in the back. There's a big tree, and there's like the reason why I love it is open and airy. There's a big skylight, like the entire ceiling is all a skylight. So there's all this light, and there's a real tree that's in the middle that goes all the way up to the sky. It's beautiful. happy, and there's a bar, built-in bar. It's amazing. Anyway, shout out to her. And then this relates to the topic. This book, I'll talk about this book. So usually on my podcast, I will recommend a book that I've read. I read about 50 books over COVID, and I literally, as a new mom for many, many years, probably, I don't know, 15, 17, I did not read because I had no time. Who has time to read when you're a full-time mom doing everything and running 2 startups and no nanny and you literally doing everything? No one has time to read. You barely have time to take care of yourself. You barely have time to work out. I made time to work out. There's no way. I just get up. I have less sleep. Go to bed early, get up earlier. Anyway, during COVID, I forgot how I got this. Oh, I think I was on Instagram and I was following this author on Instagram, and I don't know how I got tied into this author. But this relates to today's episode on what did I say? I told you so. I don't even know. I didn't know how to. It's really not about I told you so because no one really. A lot of people do say that to you. They said it to me. I don't say it to other people. I just think it. But it's kind of relates to what we're talking about today. But I'm going to read a few passages, and by the end of the episode, you'll understand why it's all related. I need my glasses because I can't see. So excuse me while I reach for my glasses. Okay. And I need to end at 10 because I have a call. All right. I did not pre-check these. Okay. So they're very random, but I did tag them during COVID when this book, okay, it's called She's Strong, but She's Tired. Okay. It's by this author. It's a New York Times bestselling author. R-H-S-I-N. Sin. I think it's Sign. I don't know. I follow him on Instagram. I think he took down a lot of his Instagram. I can't remember. He also wrote another book. She Felt Like Feeling Nothing. I mean, this book is about being sad. I mean, this book is about women empowerment, but it's written by a man. It's mostly poems. It's very creative. It's insane. This is what it was. I was following him on Instagram and I couldn't believe his poems were about the feelings of the woman. His poem, it's like a woman. He writes about the pain that women feel when they are abused and used by a man. Over and over and over and over again. But it's a man writing this. So he has the empathy, the understanding, and it's curious. I'm curious about why and how in hell does this author know the deep sentiments of women's pain. It draws me in because he's a man. And for a man to have the level of depth that this author has for women or for a woman, I'm curious about where does it come from? How did he get there? Because I have never met any man in my entire life that has this level of emotion, empathy, vulnerability, understanding, caring, kindness. I mean, you got to hear some of the words. You'll understand what I'm talking about when I read it. I'm just going to randomly read these. I have no idea. Okay. I'm going to spend some time. They're short. It's like 2 sentences. It's about time you started getting the type of love and dedication you've wasted on others. You will find everything you've ever needed in the absence of everyone who couldn't appreciate you. Sometimes people can't comprehend the power of your love until it's taken away from them without an explanation. It's been a long time since you've chosen yourself. The moon is most visible during darkness, and so is your strength. Her tears are full of ghosts, remnants of heartbreak. She's been through hell, but there's still heaven in her bones. He knew he wasn't shit when he approached you. He knowingly wasted your time. He knew damn well that he was incapable of fully comprehending your worth. And even though that shit hurt you, even though your heart has been aching, soul weary, restless, unable to sleep, I hope you still remember what you're worth. And I hope you take all the energy and love and time that you've invested in him and give it entirely to yourself. I hope this reaches you, the one who needs this the most. It almost feels as if your puzzle piece isn't meant to fit anyone, but you keep going, you keep loving, and that's brave. I love this author. You're almost there, just a little bit longer now. Keep your head up, guard your heart, and love yourself through this storm. This life, your life, you've done so much of it alone. You've carried yourself through flames. You've reached for your own hand successfully while drowning. You're remarkable even when you won't believe it. No cape, just strength. The power to hold yourself up whenever you fear falling. Instead of looking to others, you save yourself. You are the hero you've always needed. You are the hero you deserve. You fear being alone. And so you've chosen to be with the one who makes you feel the most lonely. You want to be loved, but you've decided to hold on to one who seems to hate the idea of you being happy. Some will fall, you will stand. For you, beauty is much more than the surface. Beautiful is the way you fight for what you deserve. Beautiful is how you survive feeling broken. You never belong to him. Don't let him own your emotions. Pain seals itself in our tears. Cry because that's the way towards the freedom to feel joy. You had greatness in you all along. You just had to find your fire. Find your fire and burn through everything that no longer fits into your life. Don't let a day go by without reminding yourself that you are worthy of love and that makes you feel safe. The way you survive is art. You're becoming a masterpiece. Peace dwells within you, and despite the chaos in this world, there is calm wherever you go. There is bliss in your presence. Make a list of what you want, need, and deserve. Then remove people from your life who are keeping you from everything on that list. Consider that this life we lead is entirely too short. Make shorter by the time we spend on people who were never worth our energy. You've already lost so much of your time as is. What sense would it make to give him more of you when he's never willing to appreciate all that is that it is you have to offer. She still loves him, but she's no longer willing to compromise her heart. That's a really good one. Some silence is harsher than screaming. This author is incredible. He offered her the stars in exchange for her moon, and she said no. A man in love is motivated to make sure the one he loves feels secure in the relationship. Sometimes your emotions are based on lies, and you fall for someone who only intended to break your heart. Don't trust everything you feel. Take your time and know the difference between someone making promises and someone carrying out all the things they've proclaimed. I think it's okay to distance yourself from people who keep you from feeling all the right things. It's essential to make room for more moments that grant the heart the opportunity to feel loved and cherished. You cheapen your life by allowing your heart to be invested in people who break it. Sometimes it's not even a romantic relationship. Sometimes the person you need to break up with is a family member, maybe a close friend. You are never obligated to stay where your heart is unable to thrive. No matter the title that person holds in your life, no one should be allowed to break you down. Someone who takes risks to keep you, not lose you. You moved the rain. You may not have realized it, but you walked towards me, and the closer you got, it stopped storming. And I guess I just want you to know your power, to realize your magic, and to use that ability on yourself for yourself. She moves like a brush to a canvas, a living art form, a profound expression of resistance as she not only fights for what she deserves, she fights against this idea that she should settle. She moves like lightning in search of a space to land, and you either meet her demands or watch her drift away like a dream in the softness of the morning. To find balance, you must find a space that isn't occupied by the people who take from you and never give. Self-care is saying no to people who don't necessarily deserve a yes. Your kindness was never a weakness. You were just kind to weak people. You have to be willing to walk away from anyone who restricts you from living your best life. This includes family. If you don't choose her now, you can't choose her later. If you don't love her now, she'll choose herself and give unto herself everything you couldn't, and she will find the delight in your absence. Sometimes guys don't even want the person they broke down. It's a hard truth to comprehend, but sometimes a guy wants to prove that he can control someone's heart. And so for those of you who wonder how he could hurt you while proclaiming to love you, this is how. And someone is reading this now who needed this message. Be strong and choose yourself. It's going to take some time, but you are strong enough to get through this. She could have anyone she wanted, and she chose herself. The phrase, "it's easier said than done," will never be a good enough reason to justify being in a relationship with someone who treats you like shit. Yeah, I get it. Moving on is hard, but don't act like being with the wrong person is easy. You're either going to stay and remain stuck or go and begin to grow. You keep saying moving on isn't easy, as if staying with someone who treats you like shit is any easier. I just wish you'd begin loving yourself more than you love the one person who will never love you back. Remember who you were before the heartache began. Remember how it felt before they entered your life. Sure, you were lonely at times, but here you are, all alone, even as they lie beside you. The love was never real, but you cling to them as if something will change, believing flowers can grow in a garden with tainted soil. You've been feeling the weight of disappointment for most of your life. And I believe that it is time to let go of all the people who continue to let you down. I get it, you're strong, and you've built up a tolerance for pain, but that doesn't mean you deserve to be hurt repetitively. Just because you can handle it doesn't mean you should put up with it. All the silence in her heart screams. Be the best thing to ever happen to your own heart. Last one. The title of this one's called Artwork. With strokes of madness on a canvas, she made pain look like art. The way she moved like the hand of an artist in search of somewhere to land. An assortment of decisions, both good and bad, stitched together like pages to the spine of a book. She's abstract because she's not afraid to be. Free and wild, filled with magic in a world that will often be incapable of comprehending the meaning of why she exists. Framed like the masterpiece she is, she could live in museums for all the world to admire. She could go anywhere in the world if she'd like, and cities of people would stop to pay homage to her warrior-like presence. She could take her aura and shine it in the middle of the night and make the dark skies feel like morning. She could be doing anything in the world, anything she wants, but she's here at this moment. She's reading this book, consuming these words. She is you. You have to get this book. She's Strong, but She's Tired by R.H. Sin, I think, S-I-N. But he's a New York Times bestseller. I literally want to meet him one day and like probably hug him and cry, because I read this through COVID when I was really at the depths of despair, feeling hurt, pain. And every time I read, I mean, there's so many, I just tagged the ones that really moved me and I related to. But this is really about feeling the pain and feeling the emotions. It's really for women, but I mean, he's a male author. He's unbelievable. But I highly suggest it. And it relates to today because, what time is it? I've got a couple minutes because I wanted to talk about, getting back to the subject, is sometimes we have to really experience the lessons. We get advice from other people about, you shouldn't date her. She's not right for you. She's not your same culture. She's not your same class. She's not your same status. She's not famous. She's not this, or you shouldn't date him because, he's a different culture. I had this growing up, I would have comments from my mom, mostly my mom. I was dating a guy who was from a single mom, not wealthy, not from private school, went to public school. I think he built his own Jeep. I said this on another podcast. And, he's not from a family. He's a single mom, and, well, did you see his shoes? And did you see how he dressed? And like, it's like, so when you're brought up in that kind of environment, but I still dated him. And it was, he's great. And now my mom sees him in Starbucks and gives him a hug. So we have to make our own decisions, and we have to experience the relationships firsthand to be able to learn the lesson. Many a times it's a lesson, and if it doesn't work out, there's a reason why we gravitated to that person or that job. And leaving a toxic environment, leaving an unhealthy environment, leaving in a relationship or a place that actually sets us back, that actually doesn't empower us to move forward, that's not healthy for us, is really hard. Sometimes it's really hard to do because it's usually called a trauma bond. At least in relationships, I've read about this, I studied this, and I was like, oh my God, major trauma bonds. And unless you recognize, you don't see it when you're in it, but when you're out of it, you're like, oh my God, this was unhealthy for me. This really set me back. And it didn't really lift me up, And so, and the person that you're with, it could be very nice people, and they're going through their own journey. It's just recognizing that, some relationships, or some opportunities or some experiences are just unhealthy, and we don't see it when we're in it. But when we're out, we have much clarity and a higher perspective. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Get this book. It's so amazing. I love reading from it. It's awesome. You know what I think is a really good exercise to do, either probably late at night before bed, is I think poetry and books like this, they're not novels. Reading a couple pages of poetry is really helpful, I think, to decompress at night and makes you think and puts you in a higher spirits. I think it's really creative, or even journaling, but I prefer, some people journal. I prefer read poetry. I read poetry to my kids. I read, Where the Sidewalk Ends. I love it. There's one I call, it's like, I forgot, it's called Magic. It's magic. I'll read it. I'll find it. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. It's called Magic. It's amazing. I'll read it tomorrow. I'll read from that book tomorrow. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to read these questions. But bottom line is, guys, there's no right or wrong answer, but a lot of times people give us advice, and they're maybe half the time they could be wrong, half the time they could be right. We don't know, but we ask for the advice. Sometimes it's unsolicited advice, but sometimes it's not. And sometimes, forget about the advice. And I'll admit this, like, you just have to be in it to learn the lesson. Sometimes that's how it works. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. Let's do these cards, and then I'm out. Then I have a call. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's doing well. If you could appear on any TV show, which would you choose? Well, okay. I don't really watch TV, but I did. I do want to be on the Today Show, and I also want to be on Good Morning America. I will, but that's just for a marketing thing. But I've never really care about being on TV show. But I did try out for Desperate Housewives of Chicago. Let's see, back in, I launched Blazing Babes. So that was in 2014. So it might have been right around 2015, right around there. Yep. They told me that I didn't have enough drama in my life. But that was before I got divorced. So maybe if I retried out, it might be a little different. I don't really watch TV. Although I'm watching Stranger Things now with my daughter, my kids, and I'm obsessed. Maybe we'll watch that tonight, or maybe we'll watch it on a Friday night. It's great. It's all about the 80s. I hear the 80s music, and I'm so happy. Okay. What do you say that sounds just like your mother or father? Okay. My kids and I have this thing at dinner. My mom is obsessed with manners. We have the best, we were raised with Miss Manners. It's literally good manners, please and thank you, say goodnight before you go to bed, no elbows on the table, no chewing with your mouth open, napkin on your lap, knowing how to set a table, very prim and proper, very prim and proper. how to conduct yourself as a lady, and literally respect your elders, the whole thing. Okay. So at what was it? So I say the same. So I say, when my son's, he's on my case now. He's like, Grandma would be really upset if he saw you chewing with your mouth open. Or whatever. Like I see him eating what was he eating? His salad, picking up each leaf and eating it. I'm like, we don't do that. He's like a bunny. Like it was just funny. So I say stuff that my mom says about Miss Manners. The other thing I do say to my kids that my mom said to me going to school, getting out of the car, like before we leave for the bus or whatever, is learn something new and do something good. Every time my mom said this to me, every time I left the house to walk to the bus stop, my sisters and I would walk to the bus stop. It's cold. We'd have to walk to the bus stop and wait there for the bus. Yeah. I dropped a necklace down. There was a place. I had to sit on the curb, and there was, the drain, when you sit on the curb and there's a drain, the drain. I had a gold cross, like a Catholic cross. It dropped down into the drain, and it was like sitting on a ledge. And every day for months, I saw it sparkling there. I never told my mom. By the way, Mom, there's a cross in Needham. The necklace I got, probably for my first communion, it's still there. Probably rusty now. Now. I lost it. What was your most memorable meal ever? My grandmother's sauce. My grandmother's spaghetti sauce. She makes this famous sauce. She's Italian. She's awesome. What time is it? I gotta go. Hold on. Let's be quick. If you could start your life over, what would you do differently? Nothing. If you could send one item back in time to your great-grandmother, what would you choose? Oh, my great-grandmother, my grandmother's grandmother, my grandmother's mother. Oh. Maybe my diamond earrings my grandmother gave me, because that's the only thing I have from my grandmother. Oh, no. There's some gloves. I have these gloves my grandmother used to wear. That's something from my grandmother. Besides your family, who will help you no matter what? Myself. A few Blazing Babes. There's like 3 I can count on. Malala. And then I gotta go. I have a call. Malala, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Yousafzai. She's badass, by the way. Here's her quote. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. We call upon our sisters around the world to be brave, to embrace the strength within themselves and realize their full potential. Who is the most outspoken student in your school? Well, I am. In my school, I was. Because I don't give a shit. Anyway, guys, have a great day. I hope this was helpful. Buy that book. It's a great book. I'll say it again. This book is amazing. The author is R.H. Stein. She's strong, but she's tired. It's a New York Times bestseller, and honestly, it's the best. And read poetry before sleep. It's the greatest way to decompress. Later, guys. Happy Wednesday.